Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Maddie here, and today we have some ranked gameplay. We're going to be showcasing the list that got 4th place at the Ursa Days tournament this past weekend, and the Silvally Electro-type deck that I did put into the S tier of yesterday's tier list. Of course, you know, I figured that with the heavy decline in Silvally Rampardos, this is kind of the best way to be playing Silvally right now. I think that the format right now is definitely shifting away from, you know, the basic stuff that we saw at the beginning of the format. New decks are becoming a little bit more viable. I believe that this deck here is a phenomenal choice. I put it in the S tier alongside Buzzwole. I think that these are some of the best decks to be playing in Pokemon Pocket right now. We're going to hop on the ranked ladder, play some games, and hopefully it goes well for us. We're playing 2 copies of the new Zeraora with the Thunderclap Flash, I believe is what this ability is called. Really cool, allows you to basically generate a free energy if this Pokemon is on your board at the beginning of the game. This does work if you have double Zeraora. It's mainly here to act as a free pivot, but if we are going first, rather, it also can work as a fairly decent attacker on your second turn going first. 1 copy of Oricorio just for the matchups where Oricorio is going to be really good, and then of course the core of the deck is Silvally. So 1 copy of Dawn, 2 Gladion, 1 Giovanni, 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus, 1 Mars, 1 Pokemon Center Lady. So this deck's running a little bit of everything. Of course, 1 Giant Cape, 2 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research. So I know some people have asked maybe why not play 2 copies of Dawn. It's not really something that's needed in this particular deck strategy. However, it can be nice in the late game just to have that extra energy on your board to be able to move it and to be a little bit more flexible with it. Certainly has won games. I don't know if we really need 2 copies of Dawn. However, it can be good in the early game as well. Silvally in general is just one of the best Pokemon in the entire game right now, and I do believe that this is one of the most fast-paced, most consistent ways of playing Silvally. So I'm going to be calling this kind of Turbo Silvally is really what I categorize this deck list as. It's been doing pretty well for me on the ranked ladder. I have tested it for a number of different games here. Listen, it's probably going to go sideways now that we're recording, and that's typically how it goes, you know. We don't have all day to record gameplay, so you never really know what's going to happen here, but anyway, guys, that's the deck list. We're at 1628 points. That puts us at 3,209 as a ranking here. We are on a 5-game win streak currently with this particular deck, so maybe we're able to extend that win streak. We'll have to see. Again, I don't like to edit out a lot of footage or games when I'm playing particular decks. You're going to win, you're going to lose sometimes. I like to showcase all of the different scenarios, so hopefully we get a good distribution of decks here in terms of, you know, what we're matched up against. Of course, the matchup spread for this deck is going to be good against some decks, bad against others. It's just sort of how it goes, but anyway, let's get right into it, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for all of the upcoming content that we've got coming on the channel. Really, really excited here. We should actually be getting, let's just start the battle. Let's just get right into it. We should be starting to get, or I guess sometime soon, we should be getting an announcement of the next set, the next expansion, the next mini set that's going to be coming to Pokemon Pocket, which is really exciting. I really cannot wait to see what the next mini set looks like. I do believe ED Crisis was a great mini set. In fact, just tons of really, really strong Pokemon. Okay, so we are going to be going first. That's not super ideal, and it looks like we're playing against a Buzzwole. So it might not be Buzzwole, but it probably is. These are the particular scenarios I think that this deck does not want to have happen. So, of course, you know, this is what happens when we play this game on the ranked ladder. This is the first thing that kind of that happens to us here. But yeah, theoretically speaking, we want to go second. I think all Silvally decks want to go second. And I do believe that Buzzwole is one of the tougher matchups for us. We kind of do a little bit better against maybe some of those Stage 2 EX decks. But anyway, I think we're going to start off by playing the Gladion. We do have Cyrus and Pokemon Center Lady in our hand. I'm going to play the Gladion first so that I can then play Pokeball and increase our odds of maybe grabbing here a Zeraora. And we do, of course, not. We grab a second type null, which is definitely interesting. But we're going to go ahead and I think I'm going to cape the bench type null. And yeah, we don't have anything too phenomenal in our hand. We do have a Pokemon Center Lady, which could definitely be relevant facing down a Pheromosa. Now, there's 2 different Buzzwole decks that are kind of floating around in the metagame. There's, of course, the core kind of Cyrus Pheromosa combination of Buzzwole, and then there's more flex, right? Like as we're seeing right here with Kartana in Rocky Helmet. This is definitely a little bit more of a common version that we've kind of seen from time to time. This is the way that I would choose to play Buzzwole personally. I think it's definitely a bit more flexible, just a little bit better overall. Okay, we're in definitely an awkward spot here. The Oricorio comes down. That's also an interesting Pokemon, although I don't believe we're going to go ahead and bench that yet. So what I'm going to do here, which is definitely a bit awkward, but I think what we probably should do is attach to the active and then just evolve. We're going to hold Pokemon Center Lady in case we need it next turn to do the full damage attack here. We're not going to attack on the Pheromosa. I don't think we really need to. We're going to take some chip damage. It's not the end of the world here. We could bench the Oricorio, but definitely not something that I think we want to get damage off on super early here. We'd rather deal with the Kartana and the Pheromosa first. So I am actually just going to go ahead and pass my turn here. So we do have a Giant Cape on the bench type null. It might even be better for us to heal that type null up, but we're going to go down to 40 or take 40 damage on this type null. So it's interesting for sure. This matchup is certainly not great. Buzzwole's ability to just kind of conserve energies and to attack multiple times with the Buzzwole is very, very strong. Although we haven't seen a Buzzwole yet from our opponent, he has played Pokeball and Research, so that is certainly an upside for him here. Okay, we also draw into our own Research, but do we want to play Pokemon Center Lady first is the question. So if we attack, we take 50, or sorry, we take 20. That puts us down to 50 HP. Kartana does 40, but there are some scenarios he might be playing a Giovanni or something in this list. That's not super common. So what I probably am going to do here is be a little bit risky, and I think we're just going to play the Research. I know that might seem a little bit, definitely a bit risky here. You never know, right? We could take some extra damage with that Kartana. Not something we definitely want to have happen, but I think drawing the cards this turn with Research is definitely going to be somewhat ideal. We do have Mars and a Sabrina. That's all good stuff. And Dawn as well. We didn't draw into Zeraora this game, so those cards in our deck are not going to be too useful. But anyway, let's just go ahead, take the KO on Pheromosa. We are going to take some chip damage here. And like I said, we just hope that our opponent isn't able to hit us for 50 to KO the active. That would definitely not be good. But again, most Buzzwole decks aren't playing, Giovanni or things like that. Sometimes they play red, but not very often they're playing like a Giovanni to do that extra damage. He could play Guzma. Could play a Cyrus and just KO the bench as well. But we'll see exactly what goes on here. So he's going to Research again. So our opponent definitely kind of flying through his deck here. 7 cards to 8. And here comes the Pokeball. So probably going to be finding his Buzzwole now. Might be worth it for us to play that Sabrina. We'll have to see if he benches another basic. A Celesteela could also come down here. That would be a little bit of a struggle for us, making Sabrina maybe not as reliable. Now we do, of course, have a copy of Giovanni in our deck, but that really only brings us up to 110, and that's really only there, I would say, for this Silvally mirror match. He is just going to go ahead and hit the active, so this is a very, very interesting play here. We have Cyrus and we have Sabrina in our hands, so that is certainly really relevant. I think what we're going to do here, but the other side of the coin for sure is that he probably has Lusamine, he's probably got Erica's, he might even have Leaf Cape as well. So it's not a kind of a surefire strategy. I think we're going to have to really hope that we draw into a Silvally in the upcoming turns, but let's go ahead. I am going to attach to the type null. We'll just bench the Oricorio now, but it's definitely going to come down to whether or not we draw those particular cards here. And I think what we have to do here is, unfortunately, drew into the Research, so we can play it next turn, but we're probably going to have to Cyrus next turn because he's probably just going to KO us with Kartana. So anyway, let's play the Sabrina and try to get some damage off here on this Buzzwole. This will theoretically put him in range of something, of KOing him next turn. We could have attached to the Oricorio, but the damage from the Oricorio wouldn't have been guaranteed. I believe he is definitely going to heal or attach a Giant Cape or a Leaf Cape, so I don't think that setting up the Oricorio would have been that safe of a play. He's going to have Cyrus anyway, so I think we have to go all in on drawing Silvally here to guarantee that we're going to be able to KO this Buzzwole next turn. 7 cards in deck. We have 1 Gladion, and we have 1 Silvally. Now, we are playing single prizes, and he hasn't taken a KO yet, so theoretically, I mean, it's not the end of the world. If he does, of course, KO here and then Cyrus next turn with Kartana, that could be definitely a bit tough for sure, but we'll see how it all pans out. We're going to have to just get a little bit lucky, I think. But we can kind of split the difference here, theoretically, but our only way to do damage, enough damage, most likely to take the KO, is going to be with Silvally. So if he does have the Cyrus in the next turn after he KOs this turn, it's going to be definitely difficult. But anyway, I think we're putting ourselves in as good of a position as possible. No Zeraora in the early game. That's certainly unfortunate. We would have had an extra energy to work with here. And then, of course, going first, right? So there's the Giant Cape, like I said. So he's going to be out of range, right, of the Oricorio KOing. Now, if he also plays Erica's, which he is going to, okay. So that's definitely not great for us. That kind of makes it so I don't think we can win here, that particular combo. We're not playing Guzma in our list, so I think that's going to be kind of GG. Now, we also do have Giovanni in our deck, but it's very unlikely that we kind of draw into it here. So, yeah, we're going to be forced to probably hope he doesn't have Cyrus. The Zeraora is interesting. So, we could potentially heal up with Pokemon Center Lady, but we don't have any way to live next turn regardless, right? So, what we could do is play the Dawn this turn, hit with Oricorio, and then hope that we can kind of ride this game out that way and keep the Cyrus in our pocket. That might be the best case scenario, but if we do that, we're really forced to not bench anything else. So I'm actually going to do it. He could probably have a second Erica's, which obviously would not be ideal. But anyway, I think that's kind of the strategy that we have to go with now because we did not draw into Silvally, and he did, of course, heal and attach to the Giant Cape. So anyway, let's just play the Dawn here. I'm expecting a Cyrus KO on the type null anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead put the energy on Oricorio here, and then just go ahead and attack for 50. So obviously not a great strategy here, but it's kind of our only strategy at the moment, hoping that we draw into perhaps, you know, a Giovanni here, right, with 6 cards in deck. Here comes the Celesteela. He's going to attach to it. This is going to be kind of his main win condition, is getting the damage off, right, with Celesteela. So, okay, so he brings in the Kartana. Again, not a terrible strategy here. I assume he's just going to hit the active. We do have Pokemon Center Lady in hand, and we can attach to the Silvally, maybe force his hand at, you know, attacking the Silvally for a turn. We have used our Giant Cape, though, so we're all out of, like, damage healing abilities, right? We've used Giant Cape, and we have Pokemon Center Lady in the hand. So if he attacks the active here, we can hit him and technically put him in a good scenario. But if he has Lusamine, which he probably does play 2 copies, then things are definitely going to get a bit awkward. So this is a very close game against probably one of our worst matchups. So we're going to try our best to see if we can pull this out here. We definitely are going to have to get a little bit lucky. This Giant Cape here with the Erica's last turn is tough. There comes the Guzma, which is definitely a really big play from our opponent. He can't, of course, he might actually have the Repel in hand, which would be a crazy play, but actually not a terrible play. Yeah, he's just going to hit the active. That's fine. I think that's okay. He's going to attach to the Celesteela. Those are all proper plays from our opponent here. Okay, so we have to play the Pokeball. We're going to thin out another Zeraora. These are cards that are not very useful. We definitely don't want to bench these Pokemon at the moment. So, yeah, I think what we have to do is just heal the active Oricorio. We're going to attach to type Null here. And we're going to try to just sort of ride this out. It's very bad. This Buzzwole being just out of range is really, really tough for us here. There's just not much we can do. I guess we could get a little bit lucky in his ability to flip aheads with Celesteela. That's might be what this game comes down to, whether or not he flips aheads. Because if he goes into Buzzwole, we have 4 cards in the deck, so we could potentially just draw into a either our Silvally, right, or our Giovanni. With the Giovanni, we'll be able to let us take the K1 Buzzwole unless he plays another Erica's. If he Erica's the Buzzwole, it's probably a loss here. I don't think there's anything we can do about that. So yeah, we'll see what our opponent does here. I think we're doing kind of everything we need to get this game going, but yeah, this is such a tough matchup. The healing with Buzzwole and the ability to just KO with Celesteela really makes this matchup quite poor. The Lusamine comes down, so he might go for the Celesteela attack this turn, which it looks like he's going to. And that's an interesting play for sure from our opponent here. But I also think it's the correct play because now he gets 2 chances to basically win this game on a coin flip. So we'll see if our opponent can do it. He very well could. Very well could get the KO here for sure. Now, if we had Guzma here, we would have an alternate win condition. Let's see. He flips tails. Okay. So there is an opening for us for sure. We're just going to have to get a little bit lucky. There's the Giovanni, which is also quite interesting. But I think this turn we play the Cyrus, if I'm correct here, because we want to draw into the Silvally, which we do, which is good. Okay. So things are getting very, very interesting. We have to, I believe now, because he played the Lusamine last turn, we basically have to, he needs to flip tails here. That's basically our only win condition. Although we still have game in hand if he doesn't KO the Silvally next turn, right? So, but I think he's probably going to want to target the Oricorio. We still have Mars in the deck, and that's the last card in our deck, actually, which is funny. 40 seconds on the timer. He might be playing Mars himself, which makes me kind of want to bench the 2 Zeraoras. I don't know if we really lose anything by doing that, because he's not, at this point, I don't really think it matters. So I think benching them actually thins cards out of the deck in case we do get, Mars. So we're just going to do that. That might be the losing play here. But yeah, I think we're not in a terrible position. Cyrus is a win condition here for sure. The Silvally is set up. Now, if Cyrus is and KOs Silvally with Celesteela, then we lose, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's any way around that. So we'll see exactly what happens. But we're just going to have to get a little bit lucky, right? Our opponent got a little unlucky there flipping tails, but it's a 50-50. Sometimes it goes like that. You got to drink your water, right? Okay. Let's see what our opponent does here. He has 2 cards in deck, 3 in hand. So, yeah, our last card in hand is Mars. If he does take a KO here, we could Mars him and maybe get lucky with him not having Cyrus. He hasn't even actually used 1 Cyrus yet. So he's got double Cyrus in the bank here. I'm wondering if he makes the correct play and KOs the Silvally here, because I think he might realize that that's his only win condition. But in the same vein, though, once we KO the Cell, if he does that, then Oricorio KOs Celesteela, Kartana comes in, can't take the KO, right? So we can KO Kartana, and then it's kind of GG there unless he's got like a Sabrina in his deck. So I don't know if we're in a terrible spot here. I think we've put ourselves in at least somewhat of a winning position. We'll see if we can kind of pull this out here. This is definitely an interesting game one. Very, very interesting game one. But this is the type of stuff that you kind of run into with Silvally, is that, you know, it's a little bit, yeah, here's the Cyrus. So that's the correct play from our opponent. That's definitely the correct play, I believe. Because now if he has a Sabrina or something, does he flip tails? He's due a heads here, since he got tails in the last one. All right, he gets the heads. Good for him. Okay. That was the correct play. Because if he has a Repel or if he has a Sabrina, then we lose, right? And that's really what this game will likely come down to. So, yeah, we'll see if that all kind of comes to fruition here. I think he's used double Lusamine. He's only used once, so theoretically he could bench a second Celesteela for game. But now is where we definitely Mars him. Yeah, we just pray, I think. We Mars him to 1 and then we pray. That's what this game comes down to here. Definitely a good play from our opponent. The Cyrus, for sure. I think he had to make that play, assuming that I haven't played a Cyrus yet either, so I think he knew that he had to make that play. And then now, you know, now it just comes down to, with one card in his hand, does he have Sabrina or Repel? That's what this game comes down to. Kartana won't be able to take the KO here. He goes into the Buzzwole. That lets me know that he doesn't at least have it right now. One of these cards is definitely Celesteela, so it could definitely be a Repel. It could be a Sabrina. Could be a Mars. He's got a lot of options here in terms of the cards that he has. He's got the Ericas, and he heals the Kartana. That's a really, really smart play from him. But I think, yeah, okay. So the second Ericas is pretty clutch from him, for sure. So now I think what we're kind of forced to do, unironically, is actually just Cyrus up the... we can't actually do that. Okay, this is really bad for us, actually. Because he full healed the Kartana. It is quite bad, although we do have a Pocket Giovanni in our hand, right? So I don't think we play the Cyrus yet. He can come in and attack, but we'll one-hit KO the Kartana. It might be GG from there unless he's got a second Lusamine. All right, I think we just have to attack. We don't have any way to bring this Buzzwole in, right? So I think we just attack the active. I honestly think he probably has another Lusamine, so he's probably kind of hoping for the Celesteela coin flip victory win condition here. I assume that's probably what he's going for, because he's got to have another Celesteela, and he very well could have a second Lusamine. But he might just have a second Cyrus. I don't know, though. Probably 2 Lusamine is what I'm assuming, so the Celesteela's got to come down at some point for sure. Okay, now he goes into Kartana. So we have game in hand. Does he just hit the active? There's no way. All right. Very, very interesting close game here, guys. But you know what? We'll take him. We'll take him. This deck is a lot better than I think a lot of people realize it is. One of my favorite decks to be playing in the format right now. This is honestly probably one of our worst matchups in the current format. So for us to get a win like this is definitely impressive. I think it definitely showcases the deck to some degree. I'm not saying we played super properly that entire game. We probably did misplay maybe a couple times. You guys will let me know in the comments. You always do. But I think a great illustration of how even a deck like this has quite a bit of legs. And Oricorio as a card really is something that you kind of just, you know, kind of need in the deck. Even just one copy is enough to definitely pull out wins in a lot of scenarios. So there we go. That's definitely a really great win against Buzzwole, which in my mind, we just played against the best deck in the format. So take another drink. Now we're probably going to lose like 5 in a row. So, I mean, you know what? It is what it is. We'll try our best, you know. Pokemon Pocket, people think that, like, if you're a great player and you're playing a great deck, you're going to win all the time, as we go second for the first time in a row against Charizard, by the way, or against a fire deck. But Pokemon Pocket isn't like that, right? There's so many scenarios where you're just going to lose, right? It doesn't matter if you're playing a good deck or if it's a good matchup. This in particular should be a good to decent matchup for us, but it doesn't always end up being the case. The Zeraora we do kind of like for sure. And then hopefully this is Oricorio. It could be a second Zeraora. It's not. It's Oricorio. Okay. And we have Pokemon Center Lady in hand as well. This is definitely going to get a little bit awkward, especially considering our hand and how not good our hand is. Especially if our opponent just kind of pops off, right, and goes like, you know, Silvally turn 2. So, you know, Charizard is a matchup where it's really interesting. Theoretically, I think we should have a winning matchup against Charizard. We're just a more consistent Silvally deck, and we have Oricorio to handle Charizard. But one thing is for sure is that RNG is a cruel, cruel mistress here. He flips heads as well. So he goes second, flips heads on the type null. I'm a little bit afraid, I'm not going to lie. Let's see what we top deck here. We top deck a Silvally. So, okay. All right. This is a massively interesting scenario for us. Basically, I'm just trying to think here. If he goes Silvally next turn, we lose regardless, right? So we could hedge our bets, and we could attach to the bench here, assuming we're going to get KO'd. But I think if we do that, we just lose this game. You know, we just do. And unfortunately, he flipped for 40, right? Which, if he flipped for 20, we could have just full healed, and then evolved and been chilling because we have Giovanni in hand. But yeah, that's quite unfortunate, right? So even if we heal, we're at 100 HP, and we're going to get KO'd by the opponent Silvally. So that is very, very unfortunate, I will say. I'm going to wait to evolve. Actually, I have to. No, let's just heal, but wait to evolve, I guess, is the play here. Definitely unfortunate turn of events, I will say. We might just kind of lose in the Silvally mirror. But, you know, what are you going to do? We go first. Our opponent flips heads. It's like, you know, that's just how the game goes sometimes. Maybe he bricks here. Maybe we get a little bit lucky. Nope, our opponent's got it. Definitely has a supporter in hand as well, I would imagine. Yeah, of course. All right, so our opponent's got everything. Goes second. It's got the perfect lead off here. Now I think we just lose, honestly. I think we generally just lose to our opponent's Silvally because we just don't have an answer to it. And he's going to go ahead and rare candy into Charizard. So yeah, this is what Charizard players like to do. They like to have every card they ever need. Certainly something that that happens sometimes. Definitely. Oh man, okay. All right. Trying to think here of what we want to do. He's got one card in hand, so we might get lucky in the sense that that might not be a supporter. So I think that's kind of what we have to play around, is that he doesn't have a supporter in his hand. Another Zero Aura is not super helpful for us. So we're just going to go ahead, bench the Silvally, all right, and attach to it. And I think we just pass, quite honestly. I think we just pass. Yeah. And we hope he doesn't have a supporter here. 9 cards in deck, 2 in hand. He's going to have another supporter, though, if we're being honest. So he attaches to the Charizard. Does he retreat out? He does. Okay. That's a good play. Good play from our opponent. The correct play, I would assume. So now if we don't draw into like a Cyrus or something here, we're kind of cooked, for sure. We draw into the Mars, which isn't very useful. So now we're in an awkward spot where he can just retreat and KO Oricorio if it's in play. So I think what we have to do... Actually, yeah, it's still terrible. It's still a terrible kind of play here. We can't go into Oricorio because he's just going to retreat and then go into Silvally and then take the KO, right? So we can't do that. Although if he does retreat, then I guess we force him to... I guess if he retreats, then we force him to... Yeah, because he's already taken a KO. We're in an absolutely dreadful position here. Like an absolutely awful position. There's literally nothing that we can do. Just trying to think. Is there anything we can do? No. Pretty sure we just lose because our opponent got off to such a hot start. We want to force him to retreat here. So I think what we have to do is retreat into Oricorio, which I know feels terrible, but I genuinely think it's our only chance here. So, yeah. I'm just going to Mars him this turn, which seems silly, but I'm going to Mars him. I know he only has 2 cards in hand, but I'm just going to play the Mars to get it out of my hand, and then hopefully he doesn't have a supporter so that he can't KO us this turn. That's literally, I think, the win condition for us. Now, he could just stay in and stoke another turn. That would be the winning play from our opponent. But yeah, just being behind in the Silvally race means that we just lose this game, unfortunately. He is just going to stoke the active, so that's a correct play for sure. And I think it's the proper play in my mind. The Cyrus is interesting. So this opens up things now. So we can go ahead, KO this. We wasted an energy doing that play, so I think we attached kind of to the wrong Pokemon a turn or two before, but now we can KO this Silvally, and then he goes into Charizard, and then I think we just lose to Sabrina at this point. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? Our opponent just kind of got off to way hot of a start. And that's the upside when you're playing Charizard, is that, you know, sometimes your deck does nothing because it's inherently very inconsistent, but sometimes you get those cards that you need, and then you win. And he's also, you know, has played a 2 researches now in a Pokeball, so he's only got 5 cards in deck. So not only are we getting rolled, but we're -4 card advantage, which is quite terrible, I will say. Yeah, now I don't know if we really have a win condition. We lose to Sabrina anyway, and he only has 5 cards in deck. So the odds of him not playing Sabrina in his deck are very, very low. The Pokeball there, I guess, does technically open up some conditions here. Oh, never mind. We're down both of our type nulls. So yeah, no. It's very, very unlikely that we can win here. Massively, massively unlikely. He's probably going to go into Charmander here, hit us for 40. He goes into another type null here and attaches to it. Probably just going to Stoke. He probably should have, but it's all good. The Gladion doesn't do anything for us, for sure. We'll play it. Maybe thin out a Silvally from our deck. And now we're kind of forced into doing 50 damage here. If we were on the other side of the early game, where we were able to take the first KO in their Silvally, we would have been kind of in the driver's seat, is the truth there. But unfortunately, it's just not the case. Our opponent can, now just KO us with Silvally. So, yeah, there you go. There it is. Absolutely rolled by Charizard. That's going to happen all the time when you're playing in the ranked ladder. Charizard is a deck that is basically unbeatable if they just sort of get the early advantage. Now, from a consistency standpoint, they don't always do because their deck is inherently less consistent than most other decks in the format. But, it is what it is, right? Okay, so definitely a very, very safe loss there from Charizard. I think we were basically in a losing position from like the second turn. I don't know if there's anything we could have done there. Our opponent going second, getting the Silvally, getting the Charizard out early, it just was definitely putting us in a losing spot from the very beginning. But theoretically, that should be a decent matchup for us. But that's what happens when you play and we record for the channel, right? We win the bad matchups and we lose the good matchups, right? Charizard. We're going first for the 3rd time in a row as if we're not playing Silvally. Cut us a break here. We have Dawn, though, which is kind of funny. So we're actually going to pop off, I believe, which is pretty funny. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Oh, I like the giant cape as well. Probably doesn't matter, actually, though, because we're going to get hit first. So whatever. Oricorio not going to be useful in this matchup, so we'll see if we do it. Another Zeraora is actually also kind of interesting, I will say. We'll probably end up caping a Zeraora just so that we can live and attack, but we're going to don one of these and Silvally and hit for 100 next turn. So, yeah, we're in a position to take a KO on the active. He is going to damage us first. We'll see what he can kind of bench here, but getting the early advantage, we could just get like Mars to red carded with 3 cards in hand. Having this early advantage going first is a big upside to playing this particular deck. Yeah, our opponent benches Oricorio, which I find to be very interesting. I guess he just, of course, needs a benched Pokemon. Definitely. No Zeraora. Yeah, okay. All right, this could be an easy W here. He also flips tails, so, planned, calculated the whole time. Okay. Let's do it to him. Absolutely insane plays. So these are the scenarios where Dawn is really good. So, there is definitely a case to be made about having 1 Dawn, and that's the instant concede from our opponent, right? Maybe 2 Dawn could be good, but I think it's not something that is always like a win condition. Like, you have to lead Silvally, you have to bench Zeraora, and you have to draw Dawn for that combo to really work. And it's not a really relevant combo unless we are going first. So it is very situational. Very funny that we did showcase that particular scenario, though, in the gameplay here in this particular video. So, okay, so we are 2-1. Let's play like one more game, because this video is already at almost 30 minutes. And of course, I can't have like, an hour-long gameplay video. We're playing against Land. This is somebody that I've certainly played against before, but I think we're definitely showcasing what this deck can do. And I think we've kind of showcased all of the scenarios. We are finally going second, so thank you. And it looks like we're playing Buzzwole, leading Zeraora, which of course isn't like super ideal. But the cool thing about Zeraora is that it doesn't actually really change how we're kind of planning, right? The thing with Silvally is that you really do want to be in the active spot, because especially if you're going second, that way you can attack and then, do your kind of turn 2 shenanigans, right? That's sort of what it all comes down to. But because Zeraora theoretically is a free pivot once it's in play, okay, he's going to turn 1 red card us here. So hopefully we don't draw into an absolutely terrible hand. Mars useless, type null's fine, Giovanni's fine. Okay, so not a great turn, but at least we do have a type null that we can bench here, and an Oricorio. Okay. We're going to have to get a little bit lucky and draw off of the top deck for sure. But let's see if we can make it happen. The Dawn was nice. The double Gladion in hand before was also nice. But, you know, this way we can attack with Zera Aura next turn, or what we can do is potentially just go into Silvally if we draw into it, hit for 100 next turn. So Zera Aura as a leadoff Pokemon gives us flexibility as either a free pivot or a Pokemon that can just kind of attack for 50 very often, almost basically all of the time on your second turn, whether you're going first or second, and that certainly is really good here. So we don't draw into really anything great right now, so I think what we're going to do is actually just attach to Zera Aura here and hit for 50. And this damage off on Buzzwole is going to be pretty relevant. I'm trying to think, should we just Giovanni right off the rip? I don't think so. We should probably save it for the Kartana so we can KO it in one turn. He doesn't have a Celesteela yet either, so our opponent might not have a great hand himself, so we'll see. If he goes into Kartana here, we're definitely just going to KO. And then we might be able to split energies with Oricorio here as well. Our hand really isn't great. Okay, so the Celesteela comes down. I assume he's probably going to feed us. Oh, no, he's going to go into Kartana. Okay. That's not a bad scenario for us, actually. He's going to hit us for 40, keeps us at 50. He could have Lucamine in the hand, for sure, which would not be ideal, but we are going to take the KO on this Kartana with one attack. Definitely. So that's certainly good. Ooh, the Gladion is interesting. I think we have to play Giovanni this turn, though. We need the one-hit KO, just for the pacing. We'll attach to the Oricorio here, and we'll put ourselves at least in a somewhat okay position. If he KOs us next turn, if he Lucamines and KOs with Buzzwole, we can just Mars him to 2. But we'll see if he's got it here. So we see the Kartana. He probably has a Pheromosa, maybe even a second Kartana in the deck. We know he's got another Celesteela, another Buzzwole. We haven't really seen any supporters. So he could have the Lucamine, he could have Cyrus, could have Mars, could have a lot of different stuff in his deck. Probably not Mars, maybe, because he's played the red card, but he also does have 2 research still in his deck as well. So second Steela comes down, so he's got the double pivot. The Erica's heal, definitely clutch from our opponent. Definitely clutch. But no... Okay, so no Lucamine, which is big. Definitely big. Okay. Okay. I think we always play research and retreat and force him to have Cyrus. No reason to play the Gladion yet. I'm going to play the research this turn. We're going to get some damage off with the Oricorio. There's another Pokeball, another type null. This is going to be a Zera Aura. Not something that we need, but benching the type null is probably also the smart play here. Doesn't matter how many Pokemon we bench, truthfully. I'm expecting the Cyrus to come out, but I would rather him force a Cyrus out to KO the Zera Aura than not, right? So I think that this is definitely the play. If he doesn't heal or attach a Cape next turn, we do have a win condition with Silvally. We've already used Giovanni here, so we got to keep that in mind, but we still have Cyrus in the deck. We still have Sabrina. We still have a Dawn, PCL, another research. We have Cape as well, so a Cape would be super nice to get thrown down here. So there's the Cyrus. We definitely bait that out. Better safe than sorry here to have that Cyrus come down. And he's going to have to KO with Buzzwole, which means we should be in a winning position here. If we, yeah, we have guaranteed win here. So that's pretty good. For sure. Definitely a decent scenario for us. Getting, I think, a little bit lucky against Buzzwoles. I mean, the first game was certainly not like the most lucky of games, but this game was definitely a more fortunate side of things here. And hopefully in this video, you know, we're illustrating the consistency of Silvally and just how much of an upside it is to be just a massively consistent, fast-paced Silvally deck and just be able to have one Oricorio. That's literally all this deck is. It's like, you know, what's the most consistent kind of fast-paced way that we can play Silvally? It's kind of with Zera Aura, and it's nice because we can just kind of throw in one Oricorio, which does win some matchups. Let's play one more game. I think we're 3-1 here in this particular video. Let's play one more game. Win or lose, we're going to include it in the video. But yeah, I'm definitely pretty high on this deck. I think that it's a lot better than maybe some people thought it was. Again, it's something that hasn't seen a ton of play, but I think is just massively underrated, especially considering the fact that Rampardos Silvally isn't very common. And it looks like we might be playing the mirror here. Leading off Zera Aura, going first, though. So the Zera leadoff going first isn't terrible, right? Because on our second turn, we can attack for 50. And that's not that bad. We have double research in hand, and we do have a Silvally. So we are going to be playing the mirror matchup. Double Zera Aura from our opponent is actually kind of funny. So yeah, anyway, let's play the research first. Because we already have another research in hand. I'm going to research first. We draw another basic there. Oricorio is not going to be very useful, so I wanted to maybe get some extra basics out. And another Zera Aura. So, yeah, okay. And we have Dawn as well, which is pretty funny. Okay. So this hand isn't terrible. We're going to end our turn on double Zeraora, but we're going first. So that's the important distinction here, is that Zeraora is actually better going first because we can attack on our second turn going first. And our opponent can attack on a second turn going second, but of course, going first gets the first attack, right? So technically, we're like a turn ahead. The second Zeraora is actually massively clutch, considering that we have Dawn in our hand. And we have Giovanni as well, which is kind of crazy. So we might be, if we see a type null come down, there is a case to be made for us to take this KO with Silvally. Yeah, I think that's actually what we're going to do because we have Giovanni to potentially KO another Silvally. So I think that is actually the better play maybe this turn. It is a little bit scary considering our opponent does get down double type null. So that does scare me just a little bit. The Gladion comes down. Okay, very interesting. I think we go hyper aggressive here. Personally, I do. I think we go super hyper aggressive, and I think we just KO this Zeraora here, unless he also has Giovanni, which would make this very, very interesting. If we commit to this play here and take a KO with Silvally, then that's going to be putting us in a very, very interesting position here. It might be a little bit overextending, but I kind of want to be more aggressive here. I think that this matchup here, the mirror matchup, is really just a battle of who can be more aggressive. So this could lose us the game here for sure, but since we have Giovanni in our hand, and I'm hoping our opponent doesn't have Giovanni, I'm going to go for it. I am actually going for this play here. So wish me luck on this, guys. If we get counter Giovanni'd, we're kind of cooked. There's really nothing we can say here because we don't have another type null on the bench. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and take the KO this way. Hope that he doesn't have Giovanni so that we can then just KO his Silvally next turn. It really is a sketchy play for sure, but we're going to try our best. We're going to see if this works out for us here. A case could be made for sure that, you know, this play might not be the smartest play. 4 cards in hand. He's got 9 in deck. Do we see Silvally and Giovanni this turn? Here we go. Does this backfire on us? Let's see. Oricorio comes down. Giovanni? Gladion. Okay, we're safe. Although we're not, though, because he has got another Silvally, which is sketchy, right? Definitely pretty sketchy. So because we don't have another type null, that might be sort of our losing condition here. And we do have research, but unless we draw into it this turn, yeah, we draw into Oricorio. So I think what we have to do here is just take the KO. We just got to take this KO here. I am going to attach to Zeraora. We have nothing else to attach to, so yeah, we're gonna be a little bit hyper aggressive here and take the KO. And he's gonna KO probably with Zeraora here, but we can go into our Zeraora and then technically have you know, Cyrus as a win condition late in the game. Let's see if we can do it here. Let's see if we can do it. I actually am deciding whether to play Gladion or Research next turn because it's a 50-50 for... Oh, we get Marsed anyway. Okay, good play. Good play from our opponent. Okay. All right, we'll take the Cyrus, I think. No complaints there. I guess we do lose to a Giant Cape if he draws into it, but yeah, anyway. Kind of broken. Okay. Cyrus is kind of the one card that we wanted here. Silvally doesn't help us, so yeah, we're now committed, unfortunately, to this play. All right, let's see. He does have 1 Pokemon Center Lady and 1 Giant Cape in his hand, so if he gets it down here, we're kind of cooked. He goes into Silvally, so he might not have it. He might still heal, actually. He attaches. Oh, and he's just going to KO. Wow. Okay, so he had the Dawn play. It backfired. Massive backfire from us here. That's tough. That's tough. Okay. Yeah, we basically have to hope that he doesn't have another supporter for KO this turn. We could draw into a Giant Cape, theoretically speaking. But we're 4 cards behind on card advantage, which is pretty bad. Oh, the type null comes down. Okay. That's tough. Yeah. All right. That's probably game. I think we overextended for sure. He's got 6 cards in deck here. He's played Dawn. He's played Gladion. He's played Research. He's played Mars. So, I mean, the odds of him having a supporter card are massively, massively high here. So yeah, I think that we just kind of lose. I think him having the second Silvally early in the game set up was sort of his win condition here. We just don't have a Pokemon that can live in attack. So unfortunately, our hyper aggression there did not pay off. And unfortunately, oh, wait a minute. Oh, we got lucky. Oh, so lucky. So lucky there. 2 cards in his hand. He had 5 cards in the deck. And he did not have a supporter card. That is crazy. Maybe he had his own Cyrus, but he couldn't have used it there. Absolutely massive. We get the W. Okay, we got a little bit lucky there. You guys can comment below whether our strategy was sound there. We definitely got a little bit maybe too aggressive. It kind of backfired after getting Mars and then our opponent drawing into Dawn. But really, really fun gameplay there, guys. I believe we went 4-1 in this video. We climbed a little bit. Listen, guys, I think this deck is really, really strong. I'm sure that there's probably people that play it a little bit better. Maybe the deck list and the 20 cards in the deck have not been fully optimized yet, but one thing I will say is that this is a deck that I think is kind of a sleeper. I think it's just really fast-paced. It's really, really consistent. Oricorio is really just there. It's not a centerpiece of the deck. It's not a Pokemon. The reason we're playing one Oricorio is because we don't want to lead with it. It's pretty useless in a lot of scenarios, especially in Silvally mirror matches. So realistically, this deck kind of thrives off of just being a really consistent, fast-paced Silvally deck. But then you have the one copy of Oricorio just in case, right? For those matchups that people are playing EX Pokemon, it really can be a win condition, but in only specific matchups. So I think when Oricorio is correct, I think when you're playing 2 copies of it, you just make your deck much more inherently less consistent because the core of the deck should be Silvally and it should be Zeraora. A second Dawn a case could be made for a second Dawn, I will say. So comment down below what you guys think of the deck. What do you guys think of the gameplay here? I would highly recommend this list. I put it in S tier for a reason. I literally sat down, we played 5 games, we won 4 of them. I didn't edit out any videos, any gameplay. That's literally it. This is all we recorded. So, yeah, you know, comment down below what you guys think, because I really do think this is a phenomenal deck. Even though we got a little bit lucky in some of those games, definitely a really, really strong deck list, guys. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Stay tuned, and yeah, I got nothing else to say. Man. Silvally's crazy. It really is. All right. Peace out, guys. Have a good one. Bye.